Hello Internet, this is the Thunder Paladin coming at you with my first video review. This review comes as somewhat of a surprise. I was planning on doing a video review this week, but I got a wonderful surprise package in the mail today, and we're going to be taking a look at some miniatures that I backed on Kickstarter. I don't know if you're familiar with Artistic Justice Games. They're new on the scene, but they have really outdone themselves with what we're going to be showing you today. This is the Sacred 40 Miniatures Collection for the Battle Royale Fairytale Games card game. Now the card game is still forthcoming, but they're making some wonderful progress on that. Today we're only going to be looking at some of the miniatures. Now the miniatures were the last bonus goal for their Kickstarter, and man did it get my attention. So, over the course of the next 6 episodes, we're going to be looking at the different miniatures categorized in this lovely box art by the subclass of miniature. Here we have the Fugitives. There are the Mercenaries. Here are the Wild Ones. Next we have the Children of Magic, followed by the Horror Show. But the ones that we're going to be looking at today are the Dark Ones. Okay, I've went ahead and unboxed all the miniatures, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at them in the order that they're displayed on the back of the box here. And starting off with Bastinda. Now, you may not be familiar with that name, but Bastinda is a very popular character. Now, you've noticed that I've got these guys in the background. These are for scale. So this is what the scale of the miniatures look like with a Reaper Bones miniature. This one's the Knoll. One with Studio McVeigh. We're going to be looking at the Tier 2 Strain zombie miniature from Studio McVeigh. A more popular line of miniatures, we'll be looking at the Games Workshop. That is the Space Marine Captain. And we'll be looking at a HeroClix figure. This is the unique Superman from one of the older sets. But as you can see, they did not skimp on the scale of these figures. They're right in line with something you'd get from the Reaper Bones Kickstarter, or something that you might engage upon in Warhammer 40k. To be fair, it's actually even taller than the ones in 40k, and that's very interesting. Now, the bases, I want to cover the bases first. Every single base is uniquely sculpted. Every single one has its own sculpt, and I very much like that. They didn't have to do that, and they did. Okay, now at the bottom of each base is a small hole. Now when you go into the game itself, there will be things that you can peg, like status effects I believe, that you can peg onto the bottom of the base and go along with the figure like that. But we're looking at Bastinda right now, and that's coming off really bright. Let me see if I can tone this brightness down a little bit, because I want you to be able to get in on the detail. Alright, that's a lot better. We're going to use that. Now the detail on here, it is cast in plastic, so you lose some of the detail. It wouldn't be as if you had a resin or a metal miniature. But besides some flashing, she looks absolutely amazing. Now we'll talk about the character a little bit. Bastinda, who is she? Now, you may know her from her title if you do not know her name. She is the Wicked Witch of the West, also known as the Wicked Witch from the Wizard of Oz. And yes, she even has your little dog too. She's holding poor helpless Toto there in her hand by the scruff of his neck. If it'll focus in, that'd be amazing. There we go. Got Toto by the scruff of the neck there. Got her witching broom. Got a lovely collar. Now you can even see some detail in the hair there. And that does go all around the miniature. She's got skulls along her base. Gives a nice creepy effect. And she is very shapely, I might add. She's very convincing witch. She could lure you into whatever she wants to do with you. Alright, now moving on, we got the next one, which is Morgan Le Fay. Morgan Le Fay from the Arthurian legend. She was a spellcaster and a sorceress that was in later tales a enemy to King Arthur himself and the Knights of the Round and so forth, so on and so forth. Also a very popular Marvel character based expressly on that Arthurian legend. And we have a very nice miniature here. She's on like cobblestone, which makes sense with the English feel to it. She's got a lovely crown and her staff, and I really like the motion going on her with this magical spell that she's casting, holding her hand out, gathering the power for that spell. Really do like that. Let's see if we can get some close up on the face here, and you can see the level of detail. If it will focus, I really hope it does. I absolutely hate auto-focusing, and if I have to, I'll go back at the end of the video and manually focus in. I think I'm going to have to, and we'll go in at the end of the video and show some of the facial detail. We'll set her aside. Now next up we'll be looking at the Sea Witch. If you've ever seen The Little Mermaid, you've seen the Disney version of this character. She's very much a good representation. We got the half octopi, half very curvy woman, and she even has the tentacles for hair, which does a little step further than the Disney version. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go in and zoom in on some of the details later. Now she matches up perfectly. I want to mention this. Now the bases here are a little bit bigger than the Games Workshop bases, but the larger figures, such as her, are the exact same size base as the D&D miniatures and the Warhammer 40k large miniature bases. I'll show that off here. See? Exact same size. Exact same size. So if you wanted to use her for an adventuring party, and if you wanted to use any of these as bad guys or good guys even, for your tabletop miniatures role playing, you could definitely do that. I absolutely love that they put that on that scale. Now you can't see much of the base, but we'll go back to the back of the miniature where you can see some of the bubbles. So it looks like she's rising up out of the ocean. Absolutely lovely. She even has that little Chris dagger. She's got that devious smirk, which we'll show later in the video. Now the fourth one is Mother Goose. Now this is very interesting to me that they put this in the Dark One set, because Mother Goose herself is actually just, she's supposed to be the everyday woman. She's the peasant woman. In fact, the original concept for Mother Goose was just the person that read the fairy tales, read the stories, and she is credited with the as being the author to a lot of older fairy tales without actually being a real person. It's very interesting. Now for this miniature, they've got, her dress seems to actually be alive with magic. She's got a spell book wide open, preparing some kind of spell. Looks almost fiery to me. And she's got, I like that they put the time to show the motion. It's very important to capture motion in a miniature, and they did that very well here, because they've got the aliveness, if you were, of the dress. They have they didn't have the flames coming straight up, they have it coming to the side, and they took the time to sculpt the hair flaring up like there's force being driven out of that book. And the base is rather bland on this one. I'm not sure what they were going for. It's basically just a circular ripple pattern coming from her. It might even be part of the spell itself, I'm not sure. If you were to paint that, I would probably paint that the same color as whatever energy I had coming out of the book. Now, fifth up, we have Professor Thorn. And there's an interesting story to this. You might not know Professor Thorn, and I really hope you don't, because it's not a real character. The Professor Thorn figure was sculpted off of one of the Kickstarter backers themselves. They took on a certain level of the Kickstarter and got their own miniature sculpted of them. And this is Professor Thorn. He looks like he is based off a Harry Potter character. He's got a wizard cloak on, and he's got his wand, and he's got his pet dog here. I guess his dog was important to him, the person. And his dog even has a wizarding cape on. It's actually quite cute. And you can see more of the detail of the original character, I believe, on the back of the package here. Looks like an older gentleman. Um, Thank you for contributing to the Kickstarter, sir. And last but not least, well actually least, he's the short one, we have Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin from the famous classic tale of the woman who hired his services to spin straw into gold, and each time wanting more gold from him to the point where the last room full of gold that he spun for her, he didn't just ask for a piece of jewelry like the previous times, he asked for her firstborn child. And that's what makes him a villain. And that is collected from the Grimm fairy tales, that version. And let's go ahead and take a look at him. Here he's very much an imp-like creature. He's got his yarn there that he's using probably for a garrote wire. He's got these battered up boots. They even have a hole in them on the left boot there. And he's on cobblestone as well. Now it is a different cobblestone, I believe. Yes, it's a different cobblestone from the Professor Thorn and the Morgana. Alright, so once again we'll be taking a look at the miniatures here. This time we'll be looking very much on the detailing. Here we go with Bastinda, also known as the Wicked Witch of the West, with her prize there, Toto. We could also take a look at the detailing on the base. That is absolutely amazing. Okay, there is Bastinda. Next is Morgan Le Fay. As you can see, she's got a really interesting headdress here, kind of crown. She's got great posing. She's got her hips out to one side. She's being very flirtatious here, but also very powerful. She's got her back arched backward like that to show that she's being very commanding, but she's also got the swing in her hips and the feminine pose on her hand, which is a lovely combination there. And of course her base as well, that cobblestone. And we have the Sea Witch. Go ahead and look at that smirk on her face, that pompous smirk, holding her knife. They've got the individual suckers on the tentacles there. It's very effective. And we've got the sea foam and bubbles around the base. Every single tentacle is detailed and looks very natural. And look at the hair. It's very nice as well. But yeah, it all comes back to that smirk. I absolutely love it. It's very much like the character. You can almost hear the poor unfortunate soul is playing when you look at that. Alright, next we have Mother Goose. She's got an interesting look on her face. It's almost like she's just mildly amused, like something interesting is about to happen but hasn't happened yet, which goes very well with the idea that she's in the middle of casting her spell. Got the look at the very unique dress she has on. I don't know what kind of material that is. Maybe it's even fur or a plant material. You might be able to do that as a plant material if you were to paint it. And she's even got the G on her book, so you know that it is indeed Mother Goose's spell book. She's got that gypsy head wrap as well, very evocative of the original stories and time. Next we have Professor Thorn, the Kickstarter guy who got the miniature made for him. Now the dog's cloak even has some interesting detailing on it. We'll look at that. And once again, they have the unique base. We've got some detail on the hair as well. It's very nice. And he's got the I like how they didn't make a single piece there for the hand under the chin. So you do have so it doesn't just mold into the plastic and get confusing. You can definitely tell that there's a break there because there's an actual break there. And we got his glasses and everything. Alright, and finally, I think my favorite in the box, to be honest with you, is Rumpelstiltskin. They've been using his imagery a lot for the campaign. And I understand why. It's got a very unique look to it. It's very impish. Looks almost like the Paizo Goblin going on there with the wide face, big grin, stubby nose, and the pointy ears. So pointy. And we've got his tattered cape. Everything about him is tattered. He's got the scraggly looking teeth. It's got a little bit of gaps in it, kind of pointed. And got the hole in his boot there. He's on this low grade cobblestone. Not low grade quality, I mean like the cobblestone's slightly smaller in this than other things that you'd see like on the it's almost like the one that Noel is on, which I like very much. Let's go ahead and show him with the Noel. A couple of and they go very well together. I like that. But well, there we go. Thank you very much for joining me. This has been my first review, and next time we'll be looking at The Wild Ones, where I have some of the more animalistic characters, including Puss in Boots, the Cowardly Lion, the Cheshire Cat, and more. Stay tuned. See you next time. God bless you. Bye bye.